Well, you mentioned before about your father passing away when you were 11. And I'm curious, like, how does somebody even think about that situation at 11, at 13, at 15? And now, like, how has that situation changed in your mind over your lifetime?
Oh, well, eventually you do become like, like pretty much come at peace with it. So like at a certain point, I kind of just, realized, I had an amazing father. Essentially, like, I share blood with him, and he played a massive role on my life even after he passed away, by the way he lived his life, what I knew about him, even my time with him. And I'm very fortunate for that. I would rather have that than pretty much anyone else's father who's, lived till their 80s or so. Losing a father at 11 or 14 or 6 is very different than losing a father when you're 22 or 32, 42. It is night and day different. Losing a father when you're 25 or 35 is hard. Losing a father when you're a kid, it feels like your entire world is crumbling around you. You see the difference when you have like a father and a mother versus, also you have the pain of losing, that father. But you see the difference between when you just have like a mother raising you. It like, it's very, very different. And it's almost, there is like this sort of level of anxiety going on and stress. And again, every relationship can be different, but I do know probably my father was definitely the more grounded, calm, created that strong base. And my mother can be like, she is extremely sweet, will go the extra mile for anyone, really loving, but she can be a little more like volatile and stressed and anxious. And so you kind of just grow up just kind of feeling like this stress and anxiety. And again, these roles can be different for different couples, different people. But like, I do know like my father definitely played a very powerful role. So, that definitely is a factor. Yeah.
Well, as I understand it, when you were growing your business, your mother was harder on you, in part, you believe, potentially because your father wasn't there. So she was trying to play that role to be the aggressive one and tell you and push back against your business pursuits.
Yeah, she definitely, she was definitely, worried about me and not going to school and my father not there and her being like, oh, I wish he was here. And then, she kind of overcompensated and would try and be like very, very hard, which, looking back is completely fine. But in the moment, definitely like just kind of felt like no matter what I did, I'd never get that sort of validation or approval. But it also did like motivate me to work very, very hard. So like, and again, people will always have their different way of showing their love. A lot of times like with family members behind certain things, it seems like harsh and whatever, but there's usually love behind it. So, my mom definitely, like that was her way, and probably she was raised a certain way. But you know what, like it's like the big kind of thing that I kind of realized was, I do have an amazing family. I have 4 siblings, mother, like a ton of love in my life. And so I did lose my father very young. And that was very, very hard. But in grand scheme of things, I am very fortunate and lucky. And it's good to always keep the glass half full. Like you could lose your father at 11. I could have lost both my parents in a car accident. So everything is perception. You can perceive something as being like terrible and unfair and poor me. And then you can let that hurt your human experience, your life. Or you can just be like, shit like this happened. You can take the loss and you can appreciate the time you had, appreciate the lessons you have, and appreciate and look at the glass half full and look at all the love, you have in your life. And I think that anyone that's going through a loss, especially a really, really hard loss, at a certain point, maybe it takes a few years, whenever it is, it's good to just look at the glass half full and appreciate the time you had with that person and appreciate, the love and the good you have in your life, because some people will never be happy. Everything will always be wrong and shouldn't be this, shouldn't be that. And that way of thinking destroys your human experience. And so it's always good to, no matter what, try and come back to like looking at the glass half full and appreciation.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're not arguing with reality. And when we don't argue with reality, we are inherently more at peace. I'm curious, what would you tell that 11-year-old kid so that he could have a better experience? Or what do you wish that 11-year-old kid knew?
Well, you know what? Like the way I went through things, everything really worked out. And, you know, it was very, very hard. You know, I remember like crying pretty much every single day, twice a day. And then you cry twice a week, and then once a week, and then once every 2 weeks, and then once a month, and then, you know, once every 6 months. And then, you know, and then it's just like, and then, so like there is a process you have to sort of kind of go through. But, you know, it is, you know, even after he passed away, like, you know, I did at very many moments feel very close to him and feel his love and stuff and feel his spirit. So, I mean, I don't think I would even change really a thing. I think that, I think like, you know, everyone's got like, you know, their own kind of timeline, but I just really wanted to make him proud. And I just really felt a ton of pressure to figure things out. And okay, you know what, like, and my father did extraordinarily well, did like incredibly well. Just his accomplishments were absolutely insane. And so, you know, I'm sure like part of me like felt, oh yeah, you know, I'll get a job in the company and I'll learn everything about him and then learn everything, you know, whatever. And we did sell his company a couple years after he passed away. And so like I just knew, like, I was like, shit, I have to figure out what I need to do to become successful. I have to like figure out how to accomplish my goals. And I didn't have this feeling ever where I was going to turn 22 or 25 and 30 even and just have fortune handed to me. I knew that wasn't the way it was going to be done. And so I always knew that if I wanted to like succeed, I had to be from myself. So a lot of people assume that every kid that is born into a multi-millionaire family doesn't have to work. It's actually not true. My father wanted his kids to be hyper incentivized and to work and to be motivated. And that meant not giving them, you know, some insane amount of money so they could sit on their ass and do whatever they wanted. I know a lot of rich parents, their kids get tons of money and don't have to worry about working. But just that was, to my father, building his business and, you know, creating his company was so much more fulfilling than the money that came. And so he didn't want to steal that from his kids. And he probably believed that it was very, very important for them to build themselves up and to accomplish things and to become men and not just get money handed. So, and I think, you know what, I think that was the right decision for sure. I think like I think that for sure, if I just knew that I was going to be set, I probably wouldn't have gone through the things I've gone through to build my business.